Well, I'm going to name a name because I thought this was far too random for a golf show. But walking down near the apparel section, there was an apparel collab, which was I can't even remember the name of the apparel company because I can only remember the Barbie, as in the Barbie dolls. So a Barbie doll golf collection. Now, I'm not being funny. That seems a real big stretch to me. That's going to be a hard one to monetize. And they had a pretty big stand, to be fair. And I'm thinking, nah, I can't see that, being sold at the Wentworth Estate or anywhere else. So how those entities like that is really going to commercialize themselves, I just can't see it. And
yeah, but
I feel like
women's golf or it's junior women's golf. No, surely.
But the market's too tiny for that kind of niche product.
I mean, I don't see it, but I assume it was just pink clothing.
But you say that
it wouldn't.
You say that, Dan.
The whole thing was pony. I'm not having any of it. No matter what you boys try and tell me, I'm just not having it. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. A Barbie doll collection for golf now. Jeez, I didn't see any Kens there, just Barbie. But
I mean, when I walked down, you were coming out of the change room head to toe, so you'd obviously had a good look, and you were.
You've got to try it all on, haven't you? And that was the Barbie size as well.
But you know what? Talking of apparel, it surprised me how many booths or stands were there from apparel brands, and the stuff was really good quality. They'd obviously spent a lot of money on the booth. They had loads in the range, and I'd never heard of them. There were so many of those. And you think you're obviously a pretty well-established brand. I don't know where they're selling these products, but it's blew me away how many I'd not heard of.
That's the same thing, though, isn't it, across all of it? And I think that's what you got to be really careful of. So there are like equipment brands that come in or launch monitor brands that come in. And what happens for me is you've got to follow like the engineers. So for apparel, I assume you'd have to follow the designers. So you have your powerhouses, like Adidas Powerhouse, and you know what you're going to get. It's quality, right? And it's trusted by many. Then you have these niche other ones. And let's be honest, like Malbon has made a bit of a name for himself through his own personal charisma. No problem. But then I was chatting to someone from a launch monitor company, and I realized I've watched this guy online. But it was with his former employer that I'd watched him. And then you start to piece it together. You start to think, well, how old's this guy? And then you're like, he's probably been doing this for 10, 15 years. And then you start to think, well, hang on, their stuff that he's now working for has got better in the last 3 years. It's this guy. It's not the product. And then you're like, okay, question. And I think that all that happens with all these brands is like Travis Matthew and Bowen. Like those guys are the former Travis Matthew guys, and now they're doing Bowen. So this Bowen brand, which wasn't at the show this year, but it will be, I think, going forward. I would imagine if they put that as a marketplace. If you liked Travis Matthew before, you are probably gonna like Bowen. That's what it would look like to me, and it looks, from what I've seen, a cool little brand. Little for now. Remember how big Travis Matthew got, and that's how it starts. And I think industry-wise, mate, look at us three. We're three guys who met years ago, and here we are still doing our thing, probably now more as a group than ever before. And, we'll continue. And I think that it's people, right? I think people make brands, and you got to connect with the good people. And if you can not be so short-sighted that the tech can evolve and work with others, like someone thrust another product into me that I've seen before, was at the perimeter of the place, gives me this product. It's a year on from where it was last year. I looked at it. I'm like, tries to show me a demo. Demo doesn't work. I went straight to a fella who I trust. Have you seen this product? Yes. What do you think? Not sure. Maybe still not there yet. Cool. I don't need to continue then because I trust that guy. And it's like, it's I don't know. It seems like it takes 4 or 5 years for these things to get going. And if you look at everything that we're working on, we're experiencing it. It takes time. Like as our brands and opportunities evolve, they take time.
What? And I'm a big believer that everything starts at zero.
And then some arsehole writes MIA. No, mate, not MIA. Someone wrote MIA on me. It's pissed me off like you wouldn't believe on my comments. Geezer must be loving it that I post it everywhere I put it now. I'm not MIA, son. I'm just simply working on something. Give me a minute and you will see. You know what I mean? MIA, my ass.
Troy's on one today. Well, I do think, a lot of those companies, there's a lot of startup companies or certainly companies that have been going for less than 3 years, but everyone starts at zero. I think that's the lesson you got to learn. I want to say, I think it's LG, known as an electronics company now, but I think the very first iteration of LG was a supermarket. So, things evolve, things change over the years. And I think it's important that, well, I actually think the most important thing is to take action. And I think it's good that some of these companies take action. I think you also need to know before you take that action that you've possibly got a market for it. That Barbie thing, I don't know, kind of like, I can't see it, but I'm probably not going to buy a Barbie. It has done me. I'm never going to do that. And I can't see how it fits into the golfing ecosystem, but I also would like, and I'm genuinely saying this, I would actually like to be proven wrong. I want to see that thrive into something in 4 or 5 years' time. I just personally can't see that happening. But you do have to take your hat off. And actually, I'm going to do a little call out here. This guy that I met he just launched an apparel brand himself. Really, really cool little brand. Like you said, Bubs, got quite good quality. But his story, when I got chatting to him, his story was so good. And he was like a guy who worked in logistics, had several companies in logistics. And he went to the hospital, got diagnosed with cancer. So, and terminal cancer, as in to say he's got 11 weeks to live, I think was what he said. And he went to the bar or the pub, whatever you want to call it, starts drowning his sorrows, and then starts writing on the back of one of the napkins all the things he needs to do before he dies. And then he finishes a pint, has a little bit of an epiphany, turns over the napkin, and he says to himself, right, what are all the things I'm going to do when I survive? So he then goes about selling all of the business interests that he's got. He then buys himself a boat with his wife, starts drinking beers like pretty much daily, it sounds like. He's on the spliffs. He's got everything on the go there. And his apparel, although good quality, like his hoodies, have got almost like a cooler bag type section where his pockets are, because he kept finding himself putting beers in that little pouch. So he thought, I'll align that to keep the beers cool. Then he thought, I'll keep my spliffs on the corner of my sleeve. I'll just put a zip there and I'll put my spliffs in there. So I thought, I like this guy. And I just thought that his whole story about how this has all panned out has been really good for him. And that was 9 years ago. He survived cancer. Yeah, I met him last week on the stand. Simon Wilson, you remember Simon Wilson, ex-True Temper? He was the guy that introduced me to him. We had a chat on the stand. I thought, wow, this guy's really interesting. So I was chatting to him, chatting to his wife. It was called Chill AF, as in chilled as fuck. That's what it was. And I was happy with it.